Kelsey Mitchell, man. Boston brings it up.
Caitlin Clark's name has become nearly synonymous with the WNBA over the last year, and for good reason. Since she stepped onto the professional stage in 2024, the former Iowa Hawkeyes superstar has been one of the league's most talked about players. Whether it's her dazzling shooting range, her playmaking vision, her competitive fire, or the way she draws in record-breaking TV audiences, Clark has been a force unlike anything the league has seen in years. Now, as the 2025 season rolls on, Clark finds herself in the headlines again, but not just for her jaw-dropping on-court performances. A swirl of rumors has taken over social media, suggesting that the Indiana Fever guard might be considering leaving the WNBA altogether. Some online posts even speculate that she's eyeing other leagues, such as Ice Cube's Big Three, or potentially stepping away to focus on endorsements and media opportunities. For devoted fans of the Fever and WNBA followers in general, these whispers have caused concern. After all, Clark isn't just another player. She's a once-in-a-generation talent who has elevated the visibility of women's basketball to unprecedented levels. So the thought of her stepping away barely a year into her pro career sounds like a nightmare scenario. But how much truth is there to these rumors? And where do they even come from? To understand the reality, we need to take a closer look at Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise, the challenges she has faced, and why her name always seems to generate both hype and controversy, even when she's sidelined. Caitlin Clark's journey to the pros is already the stuff of basketball legend. At the University of Iowa, she was nothing short of spectacular, rewriting the NCAA record books and becoming the all-time leading scorer in Division I basketball history, men's or women's. Her deep three-pointers, full-court vision, and ability to completely take over games made her a fan favorite, not just in Iowa but across the country. In her senior season, Clark led Iowa to back-to-back NCAA championship appearances, bringing unprecedented attention to women's college basketball. Her games drew sellout crowds, shattered viewership records, and sparked the now famous Clark effect, a measurable surge in ticket sales, TV ratings, and media coverage whenever she was on the floor. When she declared for the 2024 WNBA draft, it was obvious she would go no. 1 overall. The Indiana Fever wasted no time selecting her, instantly injecting new energy into a franchise that had struggled for years. The Fever's ticket sales skyrocketed, national TV appearances multiplied, and merchandise sales exploded. Clark's arrival wasn't just about adding talent, it was a seismic shift for the entire WNBA. Clark's debut season was nothing short of remarkable. She averaged 19.2 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 8.4 assists per game, earning the Rookie of the Year award and a spot on the All-Star team. She led all rookies in scoring and assists, becoming one of the rare first-year players to command veteran-level defensive attention night after night. Her presence helped the Fever nearly double their win total from the previous year. Beyond the numbers, Clark brought an unmistakable buzz to every arena she stepped into. Fans traveled hundreds of miles to see her play. Opposing teams moved games into larger venues to meet ticket demand. Sports talk shows debated her impact daily. Even seasoned WNBA stars acknowledged that Clark had changed the game's energy. While some veterans embraced her immediately, others, perhaps motivated by the hype surrounding her, saw her as a target to challenge on the court. Coming into the 2025 season, expectations for Clark and the Fever were sky-high. Clark herself looked ready to build on her rookie success. Through her first 13 games, she was averaging 16.5 points, 5.0 rebounds, and 8 assists. Still elite playmaking numbers, though slightly lower scoring as defenses adjusted. The Fever, meanwhile, showed flashes of being a legitimate playoff contender. But then came the injuries. First, Clark suffered a left quad strain that forced her to miss 3 weeks early in the season. She returned to action, only to be sidelined again with a left groin injury, costing her 2 more weeks. Just when fans thought she was finally back to full strength, disaster struck once more. In the Fever's July 15th win over the Connecticut Sun, Clark sustained a right groin injury. This latest setback has kept her out of action, and while the team hasn't offered a precise timeline for her return, her absence has been deeply felt. Without her on the floor, the Fever's offensive rhythm changes dramatically, and their playoff hopes have become more uncertain. So why are people saying Caitlin Clark might be leaving the WNBA? The short answer is that social media thrives on speculation, and a superstar's absence is the perfect breeding ground for it. Back in early 2025, there were already unfounded claims that Clark was considering other leagues, like the Big 3, which Ice Cube himself publicly said would love to have her. At the time, those rumors were flat out denied by Clark's camp, and she reaffirmed her commitment to the Fever and the WNBA. Now, with Clark missing multiple stretches this season due to injuries, the gossip has resurfaced. Some online voices have gone so far as to suggest that the physical demands of the WNBA schedule, especially with international commitments and year-round basketball, might push her toward a less grueling path. Others spin conspiracy theories that she's unhappy with officiating, physical play, or how the league markets her. However, credible sources close to Clark and the Fever have made it clear that she is not leaving the WNBA. The rumors hold no factual weight. Clark's focus remains on recovering from her injury and returning to help Indiana fight for a playoff spot. While the internet thrives on drama, the real story is more grounded. Professional basketball is brutal on the body, and even the best-conditioned athletes can face setbacks. Clark's aggressive, high-energy style means she's constantly cutting, sprinting, and absorbing contact. Add to that the fact that WNBA players often compete year-round. Many play overseas in the off-season, and it's no surprise that injuries can pile up. In Clark's case, the leg injuries this season have been frustrating, but they're not career-threatening. Groin injuries, in particular, can be tricky because they require rest and careful rehab to avoid The Fever's medical staff is taking no chances, given Clark's importance to the franchise's long-term success. Even while sidelined, Clark continues to make an impact. Her social media following remains massive, and she's become one of the most marketable athletes in North America. Endorsement deals with major brands like Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm keep her in the public eye, and her appearances at events draw headlines. This is part of why rumors about her leaving the WNBA catch fire so quickly. She has such a large presence that any small change in her availability or schedule becomes a topic of national discussion. For the league, Clark's presence has been transformative. Since her arrival, TV ratings for WNBA games have surged. Merchandise sales have broken records, and attendance numbers have jumped. She's also brought in a wave of new fans, many of whom were introduced to women's basketball through her NCAA career. The Fever have had to adapt in her absence, leaning more on fellow star Aaliyah Boston, a dominant presence in the paint, and guard Kelsey Mitchell, one of the league's top scorers, while Indiana has managed to scrape together wins here and there. The team's offensive flow is noticeably different without Clark's court vision and playmaking. Teammates have been vocal about missing her leadership on the floor. Boston recently admitted, "We're not the same without her." That's not just about scoring, it's about how Clark's passing opens up shots for everyone else, how her range forces defenses to stretch, and how her competitiveness sets the tone. As of now, the plan for Clark is straightforward. He'll fully return to the lineup and help the Fever push for the postseason. She has made no public statement indicating any desire to leave the league. In fact, all signs point to her being as committed as ever to her WNBA career. While injuries have slowed her 2025 campaign, the long-term outlook remains bright. Clark is only 23 years old. With proper rehab and management, she has the potential for a decade or more of elite play ahead of her. For fans worried about the rumors, consider this: in professional sports, star players are constantly subjected to speculation, especially when they're not on the court. But in most cases, those rumors fade as soon as the player returns to action. When Clark is back hitting deep threes and dropping double-digit assists, the conversation will shift right back to her brilliance, not her absence. Caitlin Clark isn't leaving the WNBA, she isn't chasing another league, and she isn't stepping away from basketball. She's doing what every elite athlete must do when faced with injury, taking the necessary time to recover, so she can compete at the highest level again. Her story is still in its early chapters, and if her first year and a half in the league is any indication, there are plenty of unforgettable moments yet to come. The Fever faithful will just have to be patient, because when Clark returns, the WNBA spotlight will be right where it belongs, on the court, with the ball in her hands, changing the game one play at a time, one play at a time.
Over high, hits a three! You saw her do it over Brianna Stewart.
Caitlin Clark's absence from the Indiana Fever lineup has been one of the most talked about storylines in the WNBA this season, and for good reason. The former Iowa Hawkeyes legend, who took the professional game by storm in her rookie year, has missed extended stretches due to multiple injuries, leaving fans both concerned for her long-term health and eager for her return. Recently, Clark underwent further medical evaluations following her right groin injury sustained during the Fever's July 15th victory over the Connecticut Sun. The good news: no additional injuries or structural damage were found. The bad news: there is still no official timeline for her return to game action. That uncertainty has kept Fever fans, and really the entire WNBA community, anxiously refreshing injury reports, waiting for any sign that their superstar guard will be back on the court soon. According to the team's latest update, Clark will miss the upcoming Sunday afternoon game against the Seattle Storm. This marks her 7th consecutive absence and her 16th missed regular season game in 2025. For context, this is a player who rarely missed time in college, who built her reputation on relentless competitiveness, and who prides herself on being there for her teammates in the toughest moments. Missing this many games is as frustrating for her as it is for her fanbase. Clark's injury absences have already forced her to miss some of the WNBA's most anticipated events of the year. She sat out the Commissioner's Cup championship game, a marquee mid-season competition with extra prize money and bragging rights on the line. She was also unavailable for the All-Star game, where fans had voted her in as a starter, eager to see her share the floor with and against the league's other elite talents. Those moments would have been perfect opportunities to showcase her skills on a national stage, further elevating the profile of the Fever and the league as a whole. Instead, she has had to watch from the sidelines, often seen in warm-up gear, offering encouragement to her teammates, but clearly itching to get back into uniform. When Clark is on the floor, the Indiana Fever have been a significantly different team. In the games she has played this season, Indiana boasts an 8-5 record. Without her, they are 8-7. That may not seem like a massive drop-off at first glance, but the context matters. Clark's presence changes the way defenses approach the Fever, stretches the floor with her deep shooting range, and opens passing lanes for her teammates with her pinpoint vision. She is the type of player who can shift the momentum of a game with one scoring run or a flurry of assists, and her ability to draw defensive attention creates easier opportunities for the rest of the roster. Even when she isn't scoring in bunches, she's dictating the pace, setting the tone, and forcing opposing coaches to make adjustments they wouldn't otherwise have to make. And yet, to their credit, the Fever have found ways to keep winning in her absence. The team is currently riding a 4-game winning streak, a testament to their resilience and the growth of their other stars. Reigning Rookie of the Year and front-court anchor Aaliyah Boston has stepped up her scoring and rebounding output, dominating the paint and shouldering more of the offensive load. Kelsey Mitchell has continued to be a consistent scoring threat from the perimeter, while Noah Smith and Lexi Hull have provided valuable minutes off the bench. Head coach Christy Sides has emphasized a more balanced offensive approach, leaning on defensive intensity and smart ball movement to grind out victories. Still, there's no denying that the ceiling for this Fever team rises dramatically when Caitlin Clark is available. For longtime Fever fans, this situation brings mixed emotions. On one hand, it's exciting to see the team competing and winning even without their biggest star. On the other hand, there's a persistent awareness that to make a real playoff push and potentially contend for a championship, they'll need Clark back sooner rather than later. The franchise's last WNBA title came in 2012. And while this roster is still relatively young, there's a palpable sense that they could be ahead of schedule if everyone is healthy. That's why each new injury update is met with both hope and anxiety. Mid-season speculation about a high-profile player's future is nothing new in professional sports. And in Clark's case, it has been especially intense. She's not just a basketball player. She's a cultural phenomenon, a marketing force, and one of the faces of the league. When she's missing from the court, the absence is felt beyond the box score. TV ratings dip when she's not playing. Opposing arenas that sold out in anticipation of her visit lose some of that energy. Social media feeds that normally light up with her highlights instead fill with questions, rumors, and what-if scenarios. Unfortunately, in today's digital landscape, that frustration from fans can quickly morph into unfounded rumors. Like the recent chatter about Clark potentially leaving the WNBA, the reality is far less dramatic. According to team officials and sources close to Clark, the Fever are simply prioritizing her long-term health over any short-term gains. Groin injuries can be particularly tricky for basketball players because they impact acceleration, lateral, movement, and shooting mechanics, all critical elements of Clark's game. Coming back too soon risks injury, which could turn a few weeks of missed action into months. Given her importance to the franchise and the investment the Fever have made in building around her, the cautious approach is the only sensible one. Still, that hasn't stopped fans from debating the question, should the Fever continue to play it safe? Or is it time to bring Caitlin back into action, especially with the playoff race tightening? The answer depends on perspective. From a medical and strategic standpoint, protecting her now makes sense. From an emotional and competitive standpoint, the urge to see her on the court is undeniable. For the players, coaches, and front office, the calculation involves more than just wins and losses. It's about ensuring that when Clark does return, she can stay on the floor for the rest of the season and hopefully many more seasons to come. Off the court, Clark has remained engaged with her teammates and fans. She's been a constant presence at practices, film sessions, and home games, offering feedback, encouragement, and leadership. Younger players have spoken about how much they learn from simply observing her work ethic and attention to detail. Even while sidelined, she's used her platform to promote the WNBA, engage with community initiatives, and maintain her connection with the Fever faithful. That kind of leadership is invaluable, and it's a big reason why she's so respected within the organization. The broader WNBA landscape has also felt her absence. Clark's rookie season helped propel the league to new heights in terms of visibility, ticket sales, and broadcast ratings. Her matchups with other young stars like Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and